With WWE's parent company facing accusations and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. As Jon Moxley recently defeated Bryan Danielson for the AEW World title, Bully Ray explained how the promotion can get more heat on the current champion, noting on Busted Open Radio, "How do we make Jon Moxley so hated that Eddie Kingston is the savior? Who's the conduit between Moxley and Kingston that Moxley could take his frustrations out on? His wife, Renee Paquette," Bully presented. Furthering the story, Bully elaborated on things Paquette could say to Moxley to fuel this rivalry to scorching new heights, including her asking him questions like, "What are you doing? First of all, why are you hanging out with Marina Shafir? And why are you doing this to a company that you came over to and that you convinced me to come over to?" If these questions were raised, Bully envisions things could go from verbal to physical, which would be when Kingston shows up to save the day. If you wanted to bring this to the edge, obviously Moxley verbally shuts her down, but if Renee puts her hands on Jon and Jon swats her hand away, I'd go further with this, trust me, but I'm going to keep it 2024. Bully warns before furthering his predictions on the scenario. Jon takes her hands and says, "Take your hands off of me." Could you imagine how much people would dislike Moxley for talking down to his wife and implying that he would get physical with her? Now you have hatred. Now, if in your scenario Kingston comes back and he's the savior, now they'll want to see Kingston Moxley. I would advertise a sit-down face-to-face. Renee Paquette to interview Jon Moxley, Bully added. Renee can't even get out the first question because she's so distracted by Marina Shafir standing there, and eventually Renee is able to get it out and Jon answers, and he answers very curt one-word answers, and eventually Renee has to say, "You know what, can we stop these cameras rolling? I can't do this," and the cameras stopped rolling. Asked to name a fellow WWE Hall of Famer to hypothetically face in a match, Bret Hart told the Wrestling Classic, "If I could pick one guy, it would be Rey Mysterio. I always forget Rey Mysterio, but I think Rey Mysterio is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. He's up there with the best there was, the best there is, and the best there ever will be. He's really good. He's really special. Nobody can do what Rey Mysterio does." For Bobby Lashley's thoughts on Omas in WWE, Ringside News wrote that Bobby Lashley recently shared his thoughts on the future of WWE giant Omas during a virtual signing with KNS WrestleFest. Lashley, who has shared the ring with Omas in the past, believes that the 7'3" star should be utilized more on WWE television, but is unsure if the opportunity will come. Omas has been notably absent from TV screens in 2024, having only participated in 2 matches this year, the Royal Rumble and the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. While he's continued to compete in WWE live events, his last televised match was in April on SmackDown. Speaking on Omas' status, Lashley said, "I think he should be back on TV. Unfortunately, I don't know. The way that things have changed, I don't see him having that opportunity." While Lashley hopes that his comments may help reignite Omas' WWE career, he admitted that it's unclear what's next for the towering athlete. MVP, who managed Omas during his WWE run, has previously mentioned that Paul Triple H Levesque envisioned Omas as an attraction to be used sparingly, rather than appearing weekly on television. Despite his limited role on TV, Omas has found a new outlet by launching a YouTube channel called The Giant Connoisseur, where he reviews fragrances, showcasing another side of his larger-than-life personality. Revealing tips that he received regarding social media management from CM Punk, NXT North American Champion Tony D'Angelo told Muscle Man Malcolm, "CM Punk told me, don't let social media, don't look at it. When you're in the spotlight, people will say all kinds of stuff in comments and DMs. It hasn't bothered me yet, but it's funny to see people hate for no reason. At some point, I'm sure it'll get annoying. Also, they're not paying the bills. Is the boss happy, or is Wrestling Fan 213 happy? The boss is more important. That's my opinion." In a recap and update on the legal situation involving Nikki Bella and her former partner, Ringside News wrote that Artem Chigvintsev, known for his appearances on Dancing with the Stars and his marriage to former WWE star Nikki Bella, was arrested for domestic battery. Following the incident, there have been significant developments, and Chigvintsev has stated that he has no intention of reconciling with Bella as they go through their divorce. The incident, which led Nikki Bella to file for divorce and seek full custody of their son Mateo, was a turning point for the couple. In response, Chigvintsev filed for joint custody and charges against him were also dropped. Nikki Bella has filed for a restraining order against Artem Chigvintsev, which has been granted by a judge. This ruling legally prohibits Chigvintsev from contacting Nikki or their son Mateo. He is required to maintain a distance of at least 100 yards from them, their home, and other designated locations, with the only exception being court-ordered visitation rights. In response, Chigvintsev also filed for a protective order against Bella. On Tuesday, October 15th, a judge in Napa County, California, ruled that Artem Chigvintsev and Nikki Bella will share custody of their 4-year-old son Mateo, according to court documents obtained by TMZ. In a statement to People, Artem Chigvintsev denied reports that he wishes to reconcile with Nikki Bella. He stated that the claims about wanting to get back together are incorrect. His attorney, Ilona Antonyan, added that Chigvintsev has had no communication with Nikki Bella since early October. The reporting that I wanted to reconcile with Nikki is incorrect. For his thoughts on how WWE treats their current crop of talent, The Undertaker noted on Booker T's Hall of Fame podcast, "I think the athletes themselves are treated on the same level as the stars from the NFL, NBA, and other genres of entertainment. I think WWE superstars are looked at in that same light. A lot of times when we came up, we were treated like circus sideshow things. Now it's like, oh, you're in WWE? It's crazy the people that are fans. Backstage on any given night, you never know who's going to show up and tell you their wrestling stories. It's just like, dang, we have an impact on people's lives." Going over WWE's stance on blading, Ringside News wrote that after WWE switched to PG programming in 2008, they made several rule changes to follow the new rating. This including cutting down on bad language, getting rid of wild storylines, and making weapon use safer to appeal more to sponsors. During the Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression era, blading was very common, but that obviously changed once WWE shifted to PG. This is because one major change that was made after their PG transition was the complete ban on blading, which came with heavy fines for those who broke the rule. However, during the Bad Blood event's Hell in a Cell match, both CM Punk and Drew McIntyre ended up covered in blood. McIntyre's injury was accidental when he was hit with a toolbox, while Punk's cut was more planned. Obviously, CM Punk would win the match in the end as well. According to Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, blading for important matches and storylines is now allowed in special cases. With Vince McMahon no longer in charge, WWE is allowing blood for key matches but wants to avoid overdoing it as much as possible. We have also reported that WWE didn't plan on Drew McIntyre bleeding during the match, despite CM Punk hinting the same on television. It was noted that there was some panic backstage and at ringside because McIntyre was bleeding heavily, and they were worried about how bad the injury was. They considered bringing a doctor into the cage to stop the bleeding, but decided not to, since it was a Hell in a Cell match. Instead, they wanted to clean the blood off McIntyre with a towel. McIntyre stayed in control, saying he would signal it if he felt dizzy, and then they would quickly end the match. Since McIntyre didn't show any signs of a concussion, they were able to finish the match as planned. WWE is currently entering a new era as we head towards 2025, and it is clear that bringing back blading is a step in the right direction for many fans, as they feel blood was very necessary for CM Punk and Drew McIntyre's Hell in a Cell match. Speaking about having a custom title design if she is to win gold on NXT, Lola Vice told the Wayne Ayers podcast, "Of course, I want palm trees on it. I want the pink and blue. I need the Vice spin on that belt. It's so cute," Vice said when asked about the possibility of customizing a title. She even referenced Tiffany Stratton's customized Money in the Bank briefcase as inspiration. Tiffany Stratton customized the Money in the Bank for herself. I would do the same thing. When it comes to former US President Donald Trump mistakenly taking credit for hosting a WrestleMania event, Ringside News wrote that Donald Trump's involvement with professional wrestling spans decades, cementing his presence in WWE's history. During an appearance on 6 Feet Under with The Undertaker, Trump opened up about his connection to wrestling and how he became a fan of the sport, sharing memories from hosting multiple WrestleManias at his properties. "I knew Vince McMahon. I guess it goes back a long way. I held 3 or 4 WrestleManias," Trump told The Undertaker, referring to his early involvement with the event. While Trump slightly misremembered some details, Undertaker corrected him, noting that Trump Plaza hosted WrestleMania IV and WrestleMania V. "I think so. They were good ones. They were really good ones. It was hot as a pistol then," Trump recalled. "Some have always been hot, but it was really hot. I don't think I did the first one, but I did maybe 3 and 4, Undertaker clarified. 3 and 4. It was the only time it's been at the same place 2 years in a row," Trump confirmed, adding, "In fact, it was so good I wanted the second one. It was a tremendous success. It was great." Though Trump mistakenly mentioned involvement with WrestleMania III, which actually took place at the Pontiac Silverdome in Michigan, his connection to WWE is undeniable. Beyond hosting the 2 WrestleManias, Trump made headlines with his participation in the Battle of the Billionaires at WrestleMania 23, represented by Bobby Lashley. Trump's side emerged victorious over McMahon's representative Umaga, leading to McMahon famously getting his head shaved. Giving his thoughts on the match between Shelton Benjamin and Lio Rush in AEW, Matt Hardy said this on his Extreme Life podcast: "I enjoy seeing Shelton's match. My biggest criticism of it is that I feel like they should have had Shelton have a more definitive win his first time out. I thought he looked great, and it was great for him to have a match. I love the fact that they had a great match, but me personally, this is once again my opinion, take it or leave it. I feel like Shelton should have gone out and he should have been in a match that was 5 minutes and he looked dominant. I dig what Lio does, but I don't think we needed a 10-minute, 12-minute match, whatever it was, super competitive back and forth. I think you really needed to just shine the light on Shelton. Like, this is Shelton Benjamin. He's here. He's badass, and he's going to be a difference maker in AEW." Talking about The Undertaker potentially appearing on NXT, Ringside News wrote that according to PW Insider, there were discussions at the WWE Performance Center today about The Undertaker being in Orlando next week, likely for the October 30th episode of NXT. It was not noted what the dead man will be doing on the show. Addressing the idea of being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame down the line, TNA Wrestling's Nic Nemeth noted on Busted Open Radio, "It really isn't something I think about, but it's interesting to talk about when you bring it up. I'm like, oh, you know what? I take a lot of things for granted that I'm almost always helping somebody else or giving a little bit too much. I should have been more selfish, but I just love the business so much. And someone like me who is barely 6 feet tall, barely 200 pounds, does not have a friend in the meetings, did not come from Ring of Honor, didn't come from the independents, didn't have anybody rooting for me behind the scenes except for Pat Patterson, and he wasn't around all the time. And even then, when Pat Patterson would pitch for me, they would go out of their way to have me lose if they thought it was funny." Recalling his first WrestleMania match against AJ Styles earlier this year, Ellie Knight said this on 105.1 The Bounce. "I'd love to tell you that it was everything I ever dreamed of, but honestly, it feels like business as usual. I came in, did my work, and my work is getting into that 20x20 ring and going face to face with another man. Me and AJ went at it hard, so it was a physical fight for sure, but it wasn't just eye-opening for me. My friends and family, like my mom, became instant fans after being there. Suddenly she's like, oh my god, it's all I can think about. Snoop Dogg showed up, and it was just this wild night. It was amazing, but for me, just another night at the office." Mentioning her goals in WWE, one half of the Women's Tag Team Champions, Bianca Belair, noted on Good Karma Wrestling, "I've accomplished a lot so quickly. I've main evented WrestleMania Night 1. I would love to main event WrestleMania Night 2 because I feel like that's a whole other status type of thing. I would love to be a part of a women's match that doesn't even have a title. I would love to get to a WrestleMania where both women's titles are defended, the tag team titles are defended. We also have a women's match on the card that the storyline's just so great that we don't necessarily have to have a title. I feel like the men do it all the time, and I feel like it would show how much the women's roster has evolved because that's how much talent that we have. We just need more matches. We have so many women." Touching on his kiss with Liv Morgan at SummerSlam, Dominic Mysterio said this to Chris Van Vliet: "No, I had no idea. I didn't even know I was going to grab her face. I was just kinda in the moment kind of deal. Honestly, I didn't even know I was going to kiss her until like probably 2 hours prior. Just a personal decision because I didn't want anyone to know. Finn kinda had an idea of it, but yeah, I wasn't kind of thinking about it at all, and then it kind of just happened." Following back-to-back victories on SmackDown last night, where they became tag team champs in only their third match for WWE, the Motor City Machine Guns reacted to this as Chris Sabin told Byron Saxton, "I think it's still sinking in. I'm almost kind of speechless. I don't know what to say. It's kind of unheard of to be on the fast track to success like this in WWE, but this is exactly what we came here to do. We came here to prove that we're one of the greatest tag teams of all time, and there's only one place you can do that, and that's right here in WWE. Alex Shelley noted, "Quite frankly, it doesn't matter what we did last week. It doesn't matter what we did an hour ago. What matters right now is that we're champions and we have to hold on to these. The hard work's just beginning, but you ain't seen nothing yet. We're the greatest of all time for a reason. We're gonna prove it to the WWE Universe." Asked if he would come out of retirement to take part in another match, Shawn Michaels told Penn Live, "I am. Yes, I am done myself in the ring. Absolutely. Yes, sir. I'm very comfortable being behind the scenes." Going over an accusation leveled at WWE's parent company, Ringside News wrote that last year saw the integration of WWE and UFC into the TKO umbrella, marking a significant shift in the landscape of sports entertainment. With that said, TKO has now been accused of being fully aware of all of WWE scandals before the merger. Vince McMahon, at 77 years old, announced his retirement for the first time following hush money allegations back in 2022. It was eventually revealed that McMahon paid $12 million in hush money to quite a few women over the last 20 years. In fact, an additional $5 million of unrecorded expenses were linked to Vince McMahon. On January 25th, a former WWE staff member named Janelle Grant initiated legal proceedings against WWE, John Laurinaitis, and Vince McMahon. The lawsuit alleges that McMahon was involved in incidents of assault, emotional abuse, and spanning the period from their first encounter of March 2019 to March of 2022. After the shocking lawsuit, Vince McMahon officially resigned from WWE and TKO Holdings. While speaking to Brandon Thurston and Josh Pollock of WrestleNomics, ex-WWE ring boy Tom Cole's brother Lee Cole accused TKO of being fully aware of the various scandals associated with WWE. He pointed out that during a multi-billion-dollar merger, the first step typically involves sending in investigators to review all relevant information. According to Lee, TKO knew about the issues, including Vince McMahon's alleged efforts to buy off individuals in 2022. He emphasized that just 7 days after TKO's involvement, Vince was no longer with the company, suggesting that TKO's knowledge of the situation was evident. TKO, when you make a merger, a multi-billion-dollar merger, the first thing you do, send in all your investigators and you see everything. They knew about all these things being signed. Vince buying everyone off in 2022. They knew about it. And then they came in and 7 days later, Vince is gone. So it's obvious they knew. Dave Meltzer previously reported that Triple H was also reportedly aware of Vince McMahon's scandals. Nonetheless, Vince McMahon is already dealing with numerous lawsuits right now, including the latest one regarding the Ring Boy scandal, so it remains to be seen what will become of the former WWE chairman in the end. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.